Wisdom shines in talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi. My comments bring this profound wisdom into your experience. I'm Richard. Welcome. I'm reviewing and commenting on the book Talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi. Today is Talk 249, Part 1. Maharshi, ignorance, ajnana, is of two kinds. One, forgetfulness of the self. Two, obstruction to the knowledge of the self. Aids are meant for eradicating thoughts. These thoughts are the remanifestations of predispositions remaining in seed form. They give rise to diversity from which all troubles arise. These aids are hearing the truth from the Master, Shravana, etc. The effects of Shravana may be immediate, and the disciple realizes the truth all at once. This can happen only for the well-advanced disciple. In this talk, Ramana Maharshi teaches about ignorance. He identifies it in two forms: forgetfulness of the self and obstruction to the knowledge of the self. The remedy he proposes aim at eradicating thoughts which are born from latent predispositions. Ramana says something here that should be important for seekers. He says that predispositions, or vasanas, or tendencies, are the source of our trouble. They give rise to diversity from which all troubles arise. With vasanas as the source from which all troubles arise, they are a big deal in practice. They are what stands in the way of realization. Instead of looking for realization, you look for happiness from the world, from your vasanas. These tendencies rise as thoughts. It is these thoughts that seem to rise up almost at random, even when meditating. If you follow the thought, you'll be drawn out of meditation. If you follow the thought, you'll be drawn into activity in the world. The thoughts don't just rise up. They are a tendency exerting itself. At the base of the tendency is the desire for happiness and the idea that there is some specific source, a thing or activity or interaction with another that will bring happiness to you from the external world. The desire for happiness is from our core and is not the problem. The problem is the idea that you'll find lasting happiness from objects or activities in the world. You can find momentary happiness, though, and this is what the tendency is about, remembering it from an earlier time. Since it is only temporary, once you get it, in a while you'll want to get it refilled, and then your tendencies come back into play. The urge for happiness is natural. The mistake is trying to find happiness that lasts from the world, where everything changes. The search for this happiness is at the core of your spiritual longing. Spiritual practice is finding the happiness that just rises from your being, not from external sources. This is always there, mostly unnoticed until you start to look for it. So be aware of these vasanas, notice them in action. Then investigate the idea of happiness that the vasana is about, and further question, this happiness comes and goes. What within me does not come and go? Notice the happiness there. When you are quiet, you can feel it. Also, question the misidentification involved with the vasana. For example, I want chocolate. I'm a body with a mouth and tongue. They like chocolate. The misidentification is with the body. Many of my misidentifications are connected to the I am the body idea. Knowing the misidentification, you can inquire, am I this body? Between your initial deep but temporary, maybe fleeting spiritual experience and lasting realization are these vasanas. They are the only obstacle. Investigate ideas about the source of happiness and the associated misidentification. Resolve the vasana. The first kind of ignorance, forgetfulness of the self, says that our true nature is obscured by the constant flow of thoughts and distractions. To counter this, Ramana prescribes aids like Shravana, hearing the truth, which involves listening to or reading the teachings of a master. This focuses the mind on spiritual teachings instead of worldly activities. For some, just this leads to an immediate realization of the truth. But this is for well-advanced disciples. For most of us, though, this is where practice begins. We practice again and again and gradually dive deeper. However, many struggle to grasp the truth despite repeated exposure. Here, Ramana points to impurities of the mind, ignorance, doubt, and wrong identity as the obstacles. To tackle these, he outlines a threefold approach. First is removing ignorance. Repeated exposures to the teachings is necessary until the disciple's understanding becomes clear. Repetition is key to dispelling ignorance. Listen, reflect, then deeply meditate. Next is resolving doubts. Reflection on the teachings is essential to dispel doubts. Over time, this reflection leads to a clear and doubt-free understanding of the subject matter. Your mind moves from where you think about it to where mind thinks, maybe it's so. Then comes conviction. Then certainty and direct experience. The best way to remove doubt is with self-knowledge and direct experience. Then is correcting wrong identity. You redirect the mind from identifying with the non-self, the body, senses, mind, and intellect, to a one-pointed focus on the true self. You start with the inquiry, who am I? And when your ideas of identity fall away, see what remains as the self. It is the self. Then Ramana says, hold to the self. You gradually overcome obstacles and ignorance and pave the way for samadhi, inner peace, and realization of the self. It's a journey from darkness to light, from ignorance to knowledge, from doubt to experience, from misidentification to self-realization. The process is about cultivating a mind free from impurities, where the truth can be known and experienced directly. So inquire, know yourself, and be always free and at peace. These videos bring Ramana's teachings into your direct experience. Click subscribe to see more. Click thumbs up to like, and send questions and start a dialogue with a comment.